Happy Halloween! Today we're going to make some low FODMAP snacks to serve at your Halloween party. First, we're going to start with a giardiniera pasta salad, and you will need to make the giardiniera a couple days in advance. I've already got some here, and I'm going to show you how I did that. We'll start with a peeled carrot, and you're going to want to cut it in half or even fourths. We basically want to make it look like a pumpkin. So to do that, you're going to do a very small slit across the length of your carrot. And then we're going to do another small slit next to it that is angled towards that first one that we made. And you can go back to your first slit and cut it in a little deeper if you need. So basically, we want to take that piece of carrot out and we want it to look like this. Now we're going to do the same thing just a little bit over, because what we're doing is we're cutting out where the pumpkin stem is going to be. So small slit and then another one. All right, so now it should look like this, and it looks roughly like a pumpkin shape. And we will slice up our carrot into thin slices. So now we have pieces that roughly resemble a pumpkin. You're gonna put your pieces into a jar and also cut up some bell peppers. I have red and orange bell peppers. Be careful if you use something like a green bell pepper, because it does have more FODMAPs. And then you can put them in the same jar if they fit, or I did them separately. We're going to soak these in a saltwater brine. We want the salt to bring out the moisture so that they are nice and crisp. I soaked them overnight. If you don't have time for that, a few hours is fine. We just want to make sure that we're using the salt to draw out the water for the crispiness. I used roughly a half a cup of salt between the two jars and mixed that with water. Just filled it up and sat them in the fridge. Then the next day, you want to drain out the salt water. You're going to rinse it out with fresh water. I let it also soak in fresh water for a couple hours and then rinse it again. And then you're going to put them back in the jars with some seasonings. Now I used peppercorn, mustard seed, coriander seed. I also like a little spice, so I use a little bit of red pepper flakes, salt, a tiny bit of salt, not very much since they were already salted, and pepper. And I also used some oregano. Put that in your jar, fill it with 50% vinegar and 50% water. For my vinegar part, I use a mixture of white vinegar and red wine vinegar. You could use all one vinegar or mix them like I did. When you fill it up with the vinegar water solution, you want to leave a little bit of room at the top to pour in some olive oil. Bonus points if you use your garlic olive oil from my other video, to put that in on the top. And then once we've got everything in the jar, you just shake it all up, and then you want to put it in the fridge to sit for a couple days. So I've already had these sitting in the fridge, and the next step is we want to have our Halloween pasta. Now I wanted to use colored pasta with Halloween colors of black and orange and purple and green. I could not find any low FODMAP friendly gluten-free pasta that was already colored near me. So this is wheat pasta. If you use wheat pasta, keep in mind that the low FODMAP serving is only half a cup, so you're just gonna have to have a smaller portion. If you're really ambitious, you could buy a gluten-free pasta and use food coloring, but I chose to buy pre-dyed pasta. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in some of our giardiniera that we made to this bowl of pasta. So we're going to get a spoonful here of our pumpkin carrots. And then I'm going to do a spoonful of the peppers. And then I'm also going to add some olives. And then I had these tiny little white mozzarella balls that we're also going to add in there. And we're going to mix this all together. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit, because it's already has some moisture from the giardiniera. I'm gonna add just a little drizzle of some extra virgin olive oil and a tiny splash of vinegar. And then I'm going to season with a little bit of black pepper, a little bit more oregano, and then just a tiny amount of some salt. And we will give this a good stir. All right, and now we have our Halloween-themed giardiniera pasta salad with our pumpkin carrots in here, our colored noodles, and this is a nice, happy little Halloween meal. Now on to our next thing that we're gonna prepare. We are going to make deviled eggs, but we're gonna make them Halloween. So, I'm gonna make two different patterns of deviled eggs. The first one is a spider web deviled egg. So to do this, you're going to hard boil your eggs, and then you want to crack the shell without completely removing it because you're going to soak it. I'm soaking mine here in some soy sauce, a tiny bit of liquid smoke, and then a couple of drops of some purple food coloring, and then just a little bit of water. I mixed all that up, and it's been soaking for about 30 minutes. So we're going to peel this, and hopefully it will have a spider web effect on it. So you could also use different colors of food coloring. You don't have to use necessarily soy sauce. And it looks like I should have soaked it a little bit longer because we don't really have that much of a spider web effect. So probably soak it longer and maybe use just more than a couple of drops of food coloring like I did if you really want a spider web effect. So there's a tiny little bit of the cracked lip on there. Not quite what I was going for, but that's okay. I also have another hard-boiled egg that I didn't do anything special to the shell because we're gonna make it look like eyeballs. So we're gonna cut these eggs in half. And we're going to add the yolk into a bowl. Okay, and this part is just like making regular deviled eggs. We're gonna add in mayonnaise, mustard. I'm using a Japanese mayonnaise. It's just got a richer flavor to it. So I'm gonna do a squirt of that. And then I'm gonna do a little squirt of some mustard. And some smoked paprika. And let's also put some salt and pepper in here. And we're gonna mix that all together. Okay, so my eggs that are not supposed to be the spider web ones, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of mixture in these. And these I want to look like eyeballs. So I'm going to take an olive that I cut in half, and we're going to use this olive as the pupil of our eyeballs and stick that in the middle. And then I want these eyes to be a little bit bloodshot. So I took some ketchup and mixed it with white vinegar. Now, normal ketchup is not going to be low FODMAP, except in a very teeny tiny serving amount. So we're only going to use this to make little veins, so it should be fine. So I have a toothpick here, and I'm going to get some of my ketchup on it. And we're going to try to make little vein lines on these eyes. You don't have to dilute your ketchup with vinegar. I just did that to make it a little bit runnier, to make it a little bit easier to put on the toothpick. Okay, so now we have our eyeball deviled eggs. And now back to our other ones. So these, I want the inside to be a little different. So I am going to add some green food coloring to their filling. I've never tried this, but if you can tolerate avocados, I think that would be a fun thing to mix into the filling too, to give it a green color. All nice and smashed up, and now we're gonna put this in here. There we go. So now we've got our green eggs. Hopefully yours look a little bit more spider webby than mine. All right, so now we've got our Halloween pasta salad. We'll put it out here so you can see it better. And our deviled eggs. I hope you have fun at your Halloween party this year. And next month, we're gonna be doing some Thanksgiving themed low FODMAP recipes. So like and subscribe if you wanna see those.